That's right, I see the chat. I see y'all rocking, I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building, you know what I'm saying? Hit that like button, show your love, show your support, you know what I'm saying? This that dope soul, this that new thing. Nobody don't know about it. Nobody don't.
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. This is I guess you could consider a pop-up show. I'm hoping it'll be a weekly off-season special. But I'm chilling with my guy Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises. How you feeling?
Peace, Queen. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just got off work. Now it's time to relax, get to talk some Knicks. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I gotta say, I miss chopping it up with you and Sim too. I just miss the whole MBK vibe that we had.
We'll,
It's great having my own channel, but I kind of miss those times.
we'll be back in the swing before you know it.
Yeah,
Before you know it.
for sure, for sure. I did a show. We're gonna get right into it. I did a show. I don't know if it was. I think it was last week, maybe Friday on Julius Randle, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I think it was. I think I named it "Stop the Madness." No Randle, no Chip, or something like that.
I
Um,
saw it. I think it
oh,
was Thursday.
okay, all right. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on just a few of the things that came up in the show, and that's in Nick Twitter, and not just in Nick Twitter. You can also articles on people covering the Knicks. Two of the quotes I got from a source. I just happened to ran across their article. I had never really read anything from it. Here they go, the Randle thing. And so some of the points are he's not a good fit with the current team. Or a variation is when he comes back, he's going to need to change his game to fit with the team. He's a black hole, which was a new one actually. So just in general, what are your thoughts on Randall and this team next season? He missed a significant amount of time last season. The team was relatively successful in his absence. Just what are your thoughts on Randall and the team for the upcoming season?
I mean, I think your title of the show was spot on. Like, I don't think we win without him. You know what I mean? Granted, I look at everything with perspective. So I know a lot of people like to call a lot of us Randall apologists, or always
Stands.
always sticking up for Randall. The facts are the facts, though, right? Like, so I can't ignore his lack of presence in the playoffs. I'm talking about when he was available. You know what I mean? He hasn't had the greatest playoff performances. True indeed. But I also look at the context, right? So first year, first time ever in the playoffs, right? New situation. He is the guy, so he's got the brunt of everybody's focus on the defensive end. You know what I mean? We had a bunch of young guys around him, young RJ, quick. You know what I mean? We had no other guy on that team. So and then second time in the playoffs, let's keep it 100. The man was hurt. The man felt obligated to come back, but he was obviously hampered, right? So if I'm gonna look at it, I guess one way to look at it is at least give the man a chance, right? Another chance, a fair chance, a healthy shot. You know what I mean? If I'm speaking to the people who don't like Randall, like at least give him, you know what I mean, that fair shot, and look what he could do with this team. But those two situations in the playoffs are totally different from the Knicks moving forward, right? Brunson solidified himself. OG wasn't available for the entire playoff run. I think his availability alone without Randall would have changed some outcomes. You know what I mean? I think we beat the Pacers. I think we fight against the Celtics. So, I mean, you can only look at his presence as a plus, right? You can only look at it as a plus. Nobody else on the team other than Brunson can create for themselves. You know what I mean? Um, like yeah, OG in spurts. We got McCall now. He can do it in spurts as well. But last year it was Brunson and that's it. You know what I mean? Um, Isaiah Hartenstein, great, passing and creating shots for others. You know what I mean? But he wasn't a guy you just gave the ball to.
Right.
And pardon me, my cat acting up. Um, but yeah, I don't like all the negativity. It's not just the fan base, like you said. There's articles. There's former players. You know what I mean? Everybody's questioning his fit, which I think is crazy. If you want to give the Knicks the credit for what they did without him, you should also look at what they did with him in January in that stretch. It's a small sample size for sure, but you can't argue with the results. You can't argue with the numbers. Um, Arguably the best team in the league in that January stretch. Point differential, um, and Randle in that stretch was playing his best basketball. In my opinion, of his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
After you could say a bad start to the season, given the injuries, he was playing some of his best basketball, um, moving the ball, quickly, making good decisions. What you was gonna say?
no, I was because I kind of covered this on my first show back.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But you talk about it, not arguably. He was having a horrible start to the season. And when I say horrible, I was pissed off because shout out to Tommy Beer, but what I mean. After every game, putting up the numbers.
Hmm.
This is the worst start in NBA history, not Knicks history, in NBA history of a player. You know what I mean? Like percentage wise, and he did it from game 1 up until like game 12 or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. That's fine. You can come back when you finish. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think the playoff criticism is fair in the sense that we don't know. I think it's unfair to say that he's not a playoff performer and he'll never be a playoff performer. But I think it is fair to say the jury is out. I think it is fair to wonder if how he performs in the regular season will translate into the playoffs. And I know some people like to point to the fact that he gets double teamed in the playoffs. All the best players get double teamed in the playoffs, all of them, and they still find a way to come through for their team. Now if you don't have a team around you, that's a different story. And I think his first time in the playoffs, you can argue that was the case. That was the case. I still think there was some issues with his processing speed during that first playoff run, but on top of that, he didn't get a lot of help. He got a lot of attention coming into this season, coming into the playoffs, getting double teamed. It means, the best players get double teamed all the time. You still have to find a way to make it happen. So the point I'm making is it's fair to say the jury is still out. I don't think it's fair to say he hasn't been a great playoff performer in what, 7 playoff games or 8. I don't know what it's meant.
I think it's 11 or 15 total game.
11 or 15 and then he'll never be a good playoff performer. I don't know how fair that is, but to wonder if his game will translate in the playoffs, I think that's fair. What's your
Agreed.
thought on that? You think it's fair?
Agreed. Like the people who come at me with that argument, I have no retort.
Right,
My retort is wait and see. Let's see. You,
right.
you know what I mean? But it's the ones that are definitive in their stance that I don't get it. And even when it comes down to the trade Randle, like we've talked about this numerous times. For who?
Right.
for who that is going to give you that production. That's going because his presence alone is going to make things easier for Brunson,
Yeah.
for Mikael, for OG, for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, um, you look at kudos to Brunson for what he did, but his his um his shots got a lot tougher once Randle was gone. You know what I mean? Like he had to work a lot harder for his points. You know what I mean? So wouldn't we want him to something to make his job easier? You know what I mean? Some where now you can't double team him possession after possession. I had a stat on one of my early shows, my comeback show. Randall was double teamed for percentage of time he's double teamed, fourth highest in the NBA. And I think Brunson was seventh.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I mean these things tell the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got to put all the context in, and then we can have the discussion, the debate, or whatever. But when you leave these little details out, I feel like you know, I feel like you're not giving a true story, a true assessment.
I agree. And I also wonder how much of the issue with Randall is about the aesthetics of it. Because I think a lot of the fan base and I gotta be honest, I liked when Devo and Hartenstein got into that lineup, and Randall was in the lineup at the time. I liked the ball movement. I like that brand of of basketball. But I also watched the Knicks in the 90s, and I'm okay with winning ugly. So I could, but to me, I get the satisfaction from the win, whether it's pretty or it's ugly. So I do wonder how much of the concern with Randall, how much of it is about wins. We're not going to win as much with him, and how much of it is the aesthetics. It's not going to look as good with him, or it's not going to be as enjoyable with him. What's your thoughts on that?
Again, I got to go to that stretch in January because it didn't look ugly. You know what I mean? It looked beautiful. It was something we haven't seen before. You know what I mean? And it, I mean, we were smacking teams. You know what I mean? The point differential, we was blowing teams out, best in the league. So to me, that was a beautiful surprise to see that because I don't think we've ever seen that. You know what I mean? We're used to forget the 90s. The past couple years, we're used to grinding it out, fighting to the end, giving ourselves a fighting chance. So to actually have that stretch where we was beating the crap out of teams and it was looking easy,
Yeah.
I want to see that. You know what I mean? I want to see more of that because even when Randall went down, we still was scrapping and scraping and crawling. Like you said, we crawled into those 50 wins,
Right.
but it wasn't easy once he went down. You know what I
No.
mean? It was back to fighting, crawling, scrappy. 48 minutes. You know what I mean? We'd be down and win it in the fourth or whatever the case. So it's again,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm okay with winning any kind of way, but that stretch, boy, was that a great stretch to watch.
It was. It was. I think what's underestimated, was not talked about enough, is for those who are interested in the aesthetics. I'm not. I mean, I enjoyed it. It looked great, but as long as we win, I'm good. You know, I think for those who are interested in the aesthetics of the offense and how fluid our offense it was and the ball movement of it, I think the concern is not so much with Randall, but with Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims. I think that's more the concern about it not being as free flowing because those guys, forget the offensive part, they're not ball movers. Even if you're not going to score, can you swing the ball to the next person and keep the offense moving? I've made this point multiple times. They tend to stop, hold it, wait for the guy, somebody to come to them
Mm-hmm.
and give it
Mm-hmm.
back, and then that slows the offense up. So I think that's more of a concern to Randall than Randall. But to your point about the trading Randall, I've read also you don't necessarily have to trade him for a star. You could trade him for somebody who fits better. One of the quotes on the show was to trade him for more connective pieces, like more role players. But I feel like we have enough role players. Yeah, I feel like Brunson had to work so hard to create for himself, and we're gonna bring more role players in, even if they're high level role play. Like Jaren Jackson Jr., defensively would really help us, a lot, even offensively. But he's still somebody that Brunson would have to create for. So even
Hmm.
though he brings other things, so we're just bringing more players for Brunson to create for when he really needs somebody that at times can create for him, can create for others to kind of take the pressure off of him. So just what's your thoughts on, the sentiment of, if we don't have to trade Randall just for a star, we can trade him for players who fit better.
So honest assessment, I wouldn't do it, Triple J. But out of all the names and characters that people have thrown out there, he was the only one. He's probably the highest one on the list of all the names I've heard of people throwing out there, because what he would bring defensively, you know what I mean. He can shoot the three, you know what I mean, stretch the floor. But to your point, for the regular season, that would probably be great. You know what I mean? We could probably get maximized, still be 50 plus wins, all that. But when it comes down to the playoffs, it's like you just said, he's not a guy that is gonna demand the defense's attention to where you may forget about Brunson. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be a connecting piece and not a main guy, not a guy that commands a double team. So I again, I probably wouldn't do it, but he was the only guy that I kind of sat back, did some analyzing, kind of pictured. You know what I mean? I could see it looking great. You
Mhm,
know what I mean?
mhm.
But my concern would again be in the playoffs. As bad as Randle has been in the playoffs, he still was the focal point of the defenses. You know what I mean? He still was getting doubled and triple team.
Right,
Um, and to me, he didn't play that bad. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't great. It wasn't up to par, but it wasn't like what the narrative has been.
right.
So
That's fair. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, Honestly, I would take Cat over Jaren Jackson Jr. only because of the rebounding. I just think for Jaren, the 3-point shooting is there. I don't know if him and Cat is neck and neck. I've never, looked at it. But I don't know. I just need him. He's been on my fantasy team a few times. I just need a bit more rebounding from the center position. But I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. I think I would be super upset if they traded Randall for um, more role players.
so for me, I think I would go. I put him above Cat, and the only reason I when I did my mental breakdown of it, bringing Cat in, we're done. You know what I mean? Like there's no more next move, whatever, whatever. Like if it's broke, there's no fixing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
With
You
Triple J,
About in terms of
the contract.
the contract. Okay. All right.
You know what I mean? Like we're
I
over.
did purely basketball. I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking.
yeah. No. I was just thinking like if it doesn't work, it's gonna be hard to maneuver out of it. With a guy like Triple J, with a much smaller contract, you know what I mean? It puts us better in a better financial spot. Plus the theoretic trade that I seen, it included 2 picks. You know what I mean? So now it's restocking the cupboard. You know what I mean? So it just made it a more
Attractive.
fixable thing if it doesn't pan out. You know what I mean? We're not stuck with it. And that was my logic.
Yeah.
But basketball alone, yeah, I would definitely go with Cat. If the money was the same amount, you know what I mean, and that I would go with Cat. But when you talk about the money, and then if we're getting 2 picks too, 2 first round
Right.
picks, yeah, I mean, like I'm
Yeah.
looking at it from that way. So yeah, that was the most attractive.
Yeah.
out of the ones I've heard.
Yeah. Salute to the chat. Keith Turner, Molly Maw, Coach Sierra 617. Appreciate you, Coach. George Jones, Ivory 10, Space Coast, the coolest 718, Humberto De La Haas. I hope I got that right. On Dios NYK, A Train in the building early, Sherwin in the building early. I appreciate you guys. Every year Randall's been here, and this is probably the last thing. Then we can move on. Every year he's been here, he's gotten better, and he's been able to sit down and watch this team and watch how this team plays. There's no doubt in my mind, not one, that he's going to fit in great. Um, what I don't want him to do, and he's done this in the past, it seemed like he's listening to the tweets and kind of not be as aggressive and pass more as opposed to playing his game. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see him coming back almost playing on eggshells and, um, oh, I got to fit in, I got to do this. I need him to come in and play his game because him and Brunson, they're the head of the snake. And as great as Mikal Bridges is going to be, we can do a whole show on him. I think he has much more upside then he's probably going to have the opportunity to show. I think the same thing for OG. Those guys haven't hit their prime,
Mm-mm.
but at the same time, on this team, in my opinion, they're going to play off of Brunson and Randle, and so we really need Randle to be his beastly self, draw that double team, not be hesitant, because he's going to make the job easier for them.
I mean, is there a world? Is there a world where everybody maximizes? You know what I mean? Mikal reaches his max. OG because the way I'm looking at it now, granted, Mikal had an opportunity, so he'll. I think it'll be easier for him to toe the line between um being a self generator and generating for others. OG never really had that opportunity, so I think for him it'll be toughest for him to kind of expand his game. But then again, if you can't double off anybody, you know what I mean? That might just be the little charge that all these guys need.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
so it's gonna have to be a fair share or an even split of sacrifice, but be who you are. You know what I mean? Like you don't want you want Randall to continue to be himself. I want Mikal to continue to be himself. And when I say that, who he's become, right? From gradually becoming the role player to finding that lead role. You know what I mean? I kind of want him to stay aggressive in that sense. So it'd probably be hardest for OG though to kind of take another step forward.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like it's got to be a balance though. It's got to be a world where these guys can still elevate their game while sacrificing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also think there'll be games where um, somebody else will just be hot that night, and we'll get a chance to see what they do. The thing about it is, if Randall is off and Brunson is off, w- I believe OG has a bit more to his game, and that'll be the opportunity for him to show it. We know Mikal Bridges has more to his game. That'll be an opportunity to show it. So over the course of the season, there'll be different leading scorers. There'll be, we'll see the playmaking ability of Mikal Bridges. We'll see OG develop more offensively. Um, yeah, I mean, I just still think at the end of the day, Brunson and Randall will probably be well, put it this way. Instead of first, second options, will probably be the two that will command the most attention of the defense. But we'll see. We shall see. Because I think Mikal Bridges has an opportunity to be a number two, has it within him to be a number two in his career. Now, whether he'll get that opportunity here with the Knicks, it remains to be seen because it's possible that he had this in his game when he was playing with in Phoenix, but that just wasn't his role. So we just didn't see it.
He spoke about. I've been on a deep dive, um, watching a bunch of McHale interviews, from over the years, right? So like after the trade to well, some of them while he was still in Phoenix, after the trade in Brooklyn. Obviously, I've seen all the recent ones since the trade to New York. But one of the things he spoke about, um, it might have been podcast P, but one of the older ones where he spoke on his time in Phoenix. He was still in Phoenix, and he spoke about how when Booker went down, and he had to, like that was his first taste
Mm,
of that lead role. You know what I mean? And he was playing the best stretch of basketball of his career, and basically, I think when Booker came back, he was like, "Yo, like that's who we need. Though you can't, you know what I mean? You can't regress now. You can't take a step back." And he was like, I don't think I could if I tried. Like now that I got a taste of it, you know what I mean?" And then shortly thereafter, he was traded to the Nets, and he's on a separate interview. He spoke about how that little stretch in Phoenix helped him.
hmm
Like one, he questioned if they should have even traded him because he was peaking, but then how he was peaking in Phoenix, that helped him kind of transition straight into that lead role in Brooklyn. So again, I think it's always been there, and it was about opportunity. Um, the funny thing is, another interview he spoke about. Somebody asked him how many guys in the league do you think can be a lead guy, but they just don't have the opportunity. And you know, he didn't give a number, but he said it's a lot.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's a lot. So opportunity
Yeah.
means everything.
Yeah. Do you think he'll get that opportunity here with the Knicks?
I think it's gonna be fair for open for everybody. Um, what keeps popping into my head is what was the phrase they used that first playoff run, that first playoff year with Randle and Tibbs. Was it whole 16 or
Oh
all
yeah.
15? You know what I mean? Like that I keep that's what keeps popping into my head. Now granted, it ain't gonna be 15 guys, you know, be playing, but it's kind of that same mindset. Even last year, you know what I mean? Next man up, stay ready, all that, it's all ties into each other. So I think numbers may go down for everybody, but I think, you know what I mean, we got a legit four, maybe five 20-point scorers on this team.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And I think that's what's going to make us really tough. If somebody has a bad game, or if somebody misses a game, we may not miss a beat. Somebody will just easily step up into the role. Whereas if you think about us in the playoffs, we had players step up. But I was like, I hope the clock don't strike 12, because I always had this sense that they was playing above their head, and they were doing it. The individual players on different days, they were doing it, but I always want, like, how sustainable is this? How sustainable is, I don't know, let's just say Josh Hart scoring 20 points a game for the rest of the playoffs. How sustainable is that? Whereas with OG and Bridges and those guys, I feel like, yeah, it would be sustainable if it ever came to that. Shout out to Kerry Cox, just came in the building. Appreciate you. Let's move on to the center position. Um, I was reading this on the Daily Knicks, so I didn't read this quote directly. So if you or someone else read this quote directly, you can confirm. But it said in the article that Fred Katz said that the Knicks view Sims as an emergency rotation player. And again, I didn't see that quote from Fred Katz of the Athletic. I just saw it quoted in an article I was reading on, I believe it was the Daily Knicks. So if that's the case, it would make me think that they're still looking to fill that backup center position if they don't if they do see him as an emergency rotation player. Now, Sims has the opportunity in training camp to change their mind, you know. um, he'll have that opportunity. But I read something. I was reading an article in Sports Illustrated that the Knicks reportedly, and these reports, sometimes it's hard to say, is this stuff that's actually going on behind the scenes and this person has inside information, or is this just somebody that's, let me just throw this, out there. But reportedly the Knicks have been linked to a trade for Kevon Looney, who's 28 years old, from the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure how much you know about Kevon Looney, if you've ever watched him play. Just if you have any, what's your thoughts on him? I think he's won a few championships with. I think he's
Golden
been on the
State.
team for a few of those championships. Yeah.
He might have been on all of them.
Mm.
He might have been in a reserve role when back in the Bogut days. I don't think he's played for any other team.
Okay.
Um oh and he's still relatively young, but he has a lot of miles. A lot, and that's why I think he's been there for the whole thing. He's got a lot of miles. I'm not going to dismiss it. I believe um the Knicks view veteran presence as a big more than they do a young guy. Not saying they won't bring a young guy in, you know what I mean, but I think they do value veteran presence, leadership, championship experience, all that. Um I mean, can he help? Yeah, he can, but he's not a 7-footer. He's definitely a New York. When I say New York, like a Knicks type of guy that he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like he's like a younger Taj Gibson, if you will. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna come in, play his role, do what he's asked to do. You know what I mean? Like high IQ, but you can't expect anything that's gonna wow you or blow you away in this game. He's a lunch pail guy. You know what I mean? Hard hat, come to work, do the job. But I think me personally, I'd rather stick with Precious and hope we got a diamond in the rough, and we could, we could carve that diamond out. Because I believe the talks would be a sign and trade Precious for Looney. I'd rather stick with Precious. He's already familiar. He worked his butt off last year in that same role of, when we need you to play 38 minutes, I'll do it. You get a DMP, I'm fine with that too. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think what he does have on him is the championship experience. But I'll say this: when I'm looking at that backup point guard position, Soul Finger 12, West Coast in the house. Appreciate you, my brother. Um, when I'm thinking about that backup center position, I gotta be honest. I'm thinking about somebody who can start if Mitchell Robinson couldn't go. And so Precious, I'm not high on as a starter. As a backup to Mitch, I'm okay with it. I'm not great with him as a starter. And Looney, I know he started with Golden State, but they play a different type of basketball, and maybe we would play. We have played that kind of ball movement type offense. So maybe if we did go with him, we would have to revert back, back to that style. But I'm really looking for, like, it can't just be a backup center. It would have to be a backup center that can start.
I mean, Looney can start. He rebounds the hell out the basketball. I will say that. You know what I mean? Like, if
As well.
yeah, you know what I mean. So that's why I definitely believe the Knicks. You know what I mean? They poked around and they seen he probably wouldn't cost much. Like I said, the sign and trade for Precious. But it makes me question: are the Warriors just trying to get younger if they're doing that deal? You know what I mean? Are they just trying to get younger or what? You know what I mean? Like what are they saying about Looney? You know what I mean? And he's also had injuries, you know what I mean, throughout his career as well. I believe so. Um,
Yeah.
I don't trust him in the sense of, and it's crazy. Like I hear what you're saying about Precious. I don't think he's a starter either, but we know I trust Precious playing 38 minutes because he has to, because you know what I mean. There's nobody else available more than I do Looney, because I feel like Looney will break down and you know what I mean. Like if he was our third string center, I would love it. You know what I mean. If he was the emergency guy that they talking about Sims being, I think that would be perfect. You know what I mean. Like I
How
just
much injuries have he had though? Has he had that many injuries? He's he's as injury prone as like OG,
I,
Mitch in that
I
category.
I think so. I don't want to be like stand on it just because I don't follow them that much. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure he's missed a lot of time. And like I said, the miles. You know what I mean? Like those championship runs add up to like 2 3 extra seasons at the end of the day, as
But
far
that
as
is just be
games
30.
played.
Though. He'll
Huh?
just if that's the case, he'll just be 30. He's
True.
28. Yeah. I mean, I'm not banging the table for Looney.
And I like a lot of the other names that were out there. Like I'm not mad at him. He he definitely could start if he needed to. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he would be penciled in as the starter, but you know what I mean. God forbid, you know what I mean. And we need him to start. He could step in and do it. I'm just more concerned with
Yeah, injuries.
he's never really played those minutes, those like Tibbs type minutes um throughout his career. So can his body hold up? Like I said, he is young still,
Right.
but that wear and tear and but I ain't mad at him. He's keep him on the list. He's just not at the top of it.
He's just not at the top of the list. Now, I also heard talk about Robert Williams III at the deadline, not now. Um, where the Knicks signed Precious Achua for an amount probably more than
Overpay.
overpaid just so they can have the salary and the trade at the deadline. And Robin Williams III name came up because the thoughts that Portland probably is not going to hold on to him throughout the entire um, season. Now, injury,
Injury.
and listen, and I get it. If he's healthy through the deadline, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be healthy the rest of the way. So I'm not that high on Robert Williams the third at the deadline. And I got to be honest, and I don't see any way around it. I'm just over one dimension. I'm over rim running centers, but I understand that that's probably all that's available um, right now. So, just your thoughts on Robert Williams the third?
Same as you, Queen. Injury. I mean, he's in that same boat as Mitch. And I mean, like as far as like games played, games missed, or whatever the case. Would he help if he's healthy? Absolutely. You know what I mean? It'd be like another Mitch. And you know what I mean? If he's healthy as well. You know what I mean? But it's too much of a risk. Like you said, like the thought is to play him, show that he's recovered, and then trade him, or teams want to see that he's healthy. But like you said, guys like that, you could be healthy all the way up into the to the playoffs start, and
Right,
then
right.
something gets tweaked. You know what I mean? So, and I know injuries can happen to anybody. I'd rather take a safer bet.
Right,
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
right.
But
There's
if
always a
it,
chance the car break down, but if you got a 1988, you know, the
the risk
chance
go up.
the risk go up for sure. Um, Talk to me about Jalen Duran and specifically just your. I got like three questions. Initial thoughts: would you play him behind or in place of Robinson? And do you think he's too young or too inexperienced to be a probably not a backup center, but let's just say if we were thinking about him starting, would he be too young and inexperienced to be a starting center on a championship contender?
I
There's a
would,
lot of questions in there, whichever way you want to go.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give him the starting nod off the jump. But it'll be up for grabs. You know what I mean? Like you can definitely earn a spot. So, that and that would be the logic. Like I'm not taking it away from Mitch, who's been here, who knows the team, who because of injury has lost his starting job over the years, or you know what I mean. Other than that, I mean, I can't even say lost it. Like he's not available, so somebody else has to start.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't just give it to Duran, but I wouldn't be surprised if he earned it by the you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just because the guy is he's like he's like a younger Mitch, and he has more offensive upside, more offensive game. I like him. I wanted us to keep him, draft him.
Yeah, me
So
and me and Jarrell, um, as well. Do you think though? Let's just say we got him, and let's say he was able to beat out Mitchell Robinson. Any thoughts about him just being too inexperienced, too young to be a center on a championship contending team?
nope, nope. Um, here's the So the center spot is our weakest position right now, currently. You know what I mean? But it's also the position that has the least responsibility on the team. So again, it's not like we're bringing him in to um play the Embiid role. You know what I mean? We're
Right.
we're bringing him in to play to his strengths, and then everything else becomes a plus. Similar to Mitch, you know what I mean? Like so, it I wouldn't be concerned with that. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna overlook it either,
Right.
because like it's fit, but he's got to get into those um situations to know how he's gonna respond to them, to know you know what I mean. So yeah, might he make a young mistake
Mhm.
at some point? Yeah, but how else is he gonna learn it, figure it out? And he's got enough guys. He would have enough guys around him with the IQ, with the you know what I mean. Like
Right.
I don't think it would hinder him. I think if anything, he would grow faster. He would learn faster. You know what I mean. Like put
Yeah.
put put him in that position. He might make some mistakes, but ultimately he'll grow from it.
I agree with you. I think at that position, I'm not saying I'm banging the table for a inexperienced center, but if you had to have an inexperienced player at any position, um, I think we can get away with it at center. If you can rebound the ball and you can defend your position and you're surrounded by, like you said, veteran players, yeah, we can definitely bring him along. I have much less concerns about that than I do at Kolick, as talented as he
Mhm.
is, as the backup point guard, even if he's only playing 10 minutes a game, 5 minutes,
Agreed.
at 5 in a second. I still have a bit more concerns over that than I do over a Doran, or if we were to get a Kessler who's also young, I would have less concern. And I think it's like you say, it's because of the position.
Yeah, if you're giving out a sheet to every position, and the sheet is listing off what we need from you, that center position might have four things on the list. You know what I mean? Rebound the ball, protect the rim, um, especially offensive rebounding. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be a long list of things that are on your criteria. You know what I mean? But as you go down, you go to small forward, go to every other position, that list is gonna double. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
So
right.
yeah,
Oh,
do these three things, do these four things, and that's what we need from you. You good?
and you're good. Okay. Last question before we get out of here. I know you were, I don't know if I want to say you were high on Jokovitis, but you were definitely high on wanting to see him in summer league and to see how he developed and whether or not he could be a help to the Knicks. I hear that he's signed with, I want to say, I think you told me Tel Aviv.
I believe it's
Um,
Tel Aviv.
okay. How concerned are you, if at all, with the backup point guard spot? And did you view Jokibitis as a better option than McBride or Kolick? And how do you feel now that he won't be there about that position?
So me personally, after watching the summer league and finally getting to see him play, pardon me, I was surprised. I mean, I was impressed. I like what I saw from him. I honestly thought he was a little bit more NBA ready than Tyler was. Tyler is. Um, he seems like a little bit stronger. You know what I mean? Like he's been playing professional longer, grown man, everything.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not. Obviously, the Knicks told him, or he saw the writing on the wall. Like he didn't get a starting spot in the summer league. Like he didn't get a chance to kind of be the lead guard in summer league. Um, that went straight to Tyler. You know what I mean? They signed him, gave him the biggest second round contract ever. So I think the writing was already on the wall that if you did stay, if you did, you know what I mean, if we did sign you, it was going to be at the bottom of the 15-man roster. So I mean, I think he made the right decision. He has an NBA opt out after every year. It's a 3-year deal. Still has an opt out for the NBA every year, and the Knicks still own his rights. So um you know what I mean, he's still a unsigned asset. If we wanted to trade his rights. So yeah, but I like what I see from him.
Okay. All right. With him not being in the picture, what's your thoughts on the backup point guard position? Do you have any um are you betting on anybody or just the best man win? What's your thoughts on the backup point guard position?
Well, let me clarify too. This is no knock on Tyler because Tyler impressed me just as well. The
Yeah.
the only the only thing about him is he's small. You know what I mean? Like he's got to strengthen up to kind of really go against NBA guards. Now the positive, if he's playing, is probably against second unit guys anyway. You know what I mean? So that it won't be as much of a disadvantage for him. But basketball IQ, this was my take between the two of them. I thought Tyler has the IQ. You know what I mean? He's ready to go as far as like skill set, mindset, basketball. You know what I mean? But body wise is where I thought Jokibitis had that advantage. Like he could come in and play against these guards right now. Tyler, it's going to be a learning curve and a strengthening curve. But I'm not. It feels like he's got the spot. To be honest, like it feels that way. Like I don't see him. It's tough because you know with Tibbs and playing rookies, but I think they seen something in them. I think they got the guy that they had on their list in the draft, and I think they're gonna try to fast forward that and push, jumpstart his career. So I right now I do see him as the backup point guard. I think the fact that the reports coming out about Deuce and them seeing him as a two, you know what I mean?
I read that too.
Like if that's what they're saying, it's gotta it's gotta be a reason they're saying that. You,
Right.
you know what I mean? And that's the tough thing too, because does that push Deuce into that third shooting guard?
If you ask DJ Shuttle, it does.
And I mean, is it fair? I mean, that's one conversation because Deuce earned any role he gets, he's earned it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'll say this. If I'm high on Kolick, I'm not high on him being the second string point guard as a rookie on a championship contending team. At this point, we're just talking about, you know, on paper. However, if he is second string, that means he wowed Thibodeau in practice. If he ends up playing behind Brunson, then that means that I'm good with it, because that means he was doing a hell of a job in practice and through training camp to earn it.
I agree, but I feel like they he opened their eyes already. You know what I mean? I don't know how, because his contract was signed before summer league started, right?
But do you think Tibbs is gonna? I get where the organization is coming from,
Okay,
but do you think Thibodeau is gonna play somebody based on their contract? Because they could have gave him that contract because they
true,
really believe in him for the future,
for the future.
um, at the near future. I don't know if that means because of the contract, he's automatically the second string. And I get it. The reports coming out of summer league is that he's basically penciled in as that second string point guard. I just feel like off a summer league. I
Here's
mean,
the thing. Here's what I will say.
Mhm.
Deuce ain't giving the spot up easy.
Mm.
He like think about Deuce's journey in New York, right? And finally getting the minutes and the playing time and the role, the definitive role. Oh, it was after the IQ trade, right? After RJ and IQ,
Mhm.
that's when he got his solidified role.
Yep.
We got Burks here. Everybody was like, "Oh, what does this mean?" Deuce was
Mhm.
like, "I don't care. He gonna have to take it from me."
Mhm.
Oh, they brought Shake Milton in. I don't care. Like he gonna have to take it from me. Like
Mhm.
he's not giving up the spot. You know what I mean? Like they gonna have to. So to your point, Kolek is gonna have to take it from Deuce. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like because he fought to get to where he was, doing whatever it took. Did not play, go to the G League, come back up, still didn't play. You know what I mean? Like played both games in the same day. Like he went through a whole journey, a whole thing to get to his spot being solidified. He's not gonna give it up easy. So I don't know if you've seen the Deuce videos with him working on the ball handling. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So I guess that's a point of emphasis for him this off season. I think he's you know what I mean?
Mhm.
He see what's going on. He like, oh, I
Gotta
gotta
take-
solidify. Yeah, I gotta solidify this spot. So
But
Deuce ain't gonna go down without a fight. That's all
no,
I'm trying to say.
no doubt about it. But do you think with Deuce is his handle, or do you think it's him running the team um, behind Brunson?
I think it's both. I think if the handle was better, he'd be able to do a do a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like and he's gotten better. Like just watching him over time, he used to pick up his dribble. He don't do that as much. When now he pick up the dribble, he's shooting it. You know what I mean? Like it's definitive in what he does. So he's probably
Bounce
just
the hell out of the ball too. He don't do that.
so he I would assume he's trying to open up the floor game to get to the rim a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily have just that mid range, but be able to keep going to the basket. And that's gonna open up more things for a point guard. You know what I mean? For you to if if you go into the lane, defense collapse. Now you find an open shoot. You know what I mean? So I think the ball handling will help him be a better facilitator, a better true point guard, if you will.
Yeah. I'll say this, and I know this is probably won't be a popular opinion with the fans. I'm ready for this chip. I'm trying to solidify all positions with vets and experienced players. I got to be honest. So if it was me, I would have campaign. I mean, I don't know how the minutes are going to go. I kind of see Devo backing up the 1 and the 2 so that he can get his requisite minutes. And I see Hart backing up the 3 and the 4 so he can get his requisite minutes. But let's just say there's one person behind each position. I don't think that's the case. My vote right now before training camp is for campaign to play behind Brunson, because I just feel like there's not going to be a lot of drop off. in terms of his ability to run a team. He's played 50 some odd playoff games. He played 20 minutes a game last year, averaged double figures. I'm not in love with his shot, but it seems to go in. He's shooting over league average, if I'm not mistaken, from the 3-point line. So I'm ready from the beginning. Let's solidify this. I want campaign as the backup one, and we need to get a center that can start if Mitch goes down. That's where I am. McBride's minutes and his feelings, Kolick and what he could okay. I'm just trying to solidify it right from training camp with vets and experience. But
I mean,
I'm not gonna.
I feel you. I ain't gonna front. I totally forgot about the campaign. Like, and it happens every so often. You be like, I remember he's on the team, and then I gotta put that in back in perspective. Um, I think his shot really does bother me. Like, you was talking about aesthetics earlier. Like, it's tough to watch. So I ain't gonna front. I'm being honest, but it hinders my thought process sometimes when I'm thinking about Cam and the positives, and then I picture that shot, and I'm like, ah. But
Right, right.
he's definitely more experienced. I mean, he has a skill set. You know what I mean. He's played alongside true, you know what I mean, A1s or true go-to guys throughout this league. So yeah, I'm not mad at him either. I'm not mad at him either. What I will say is, and this probably favors what you're thinking. I mean, then maybe we need to figure out what we could get for Dukes. You know what I mean? Like we need that backup center or starting capable center. Maybe we start putting these assets. I mean, we don't got many assets left. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let me ask you this: how important is it to find, whether it's the backup or startable backup center? How important is it to get this done before training camp, before the season starts, or you know what I mean? How open to you of the idea of we rock out until the right guy is available, maybe at the deadline or whatever the case.
I'm definitely okay. I'm definitely okay with the deadline. But to say I'm okay with the deadline means that I'm okay with, if Mitchell Robinson goes down before the deadline, that we may lose some ground. Maybe, maybe. I mean, the Knicks. I mean, we saw from last year. I made this comparison on the show last week. The Knicks last season was like somebody getting shot in a movie, and they just keep. And you like, how the hell? How are they still moving? They get shot again. They still be like, how is he? That was the Knicks last year. So we do have a history of guys stepping up and us not missing a beat. So that could definitely happen. And I don't want the Knicks to rush and just do something just to say we have it. If they can find somebody who's legit, that they really like before the season start, that we enter into training camp with, I would be super happy. But if not, we just have to roll the dice that Mitch is going to have an AD type, Paul George type season, play over, 70 games.
Oh yeah, and that culture that we built, or that that next man up. It's not. It wasn't just last year. You know what I mean? Like, we go back to Nerlens Noel having it step up into the starting lineup, and as much as he had feet for hands, you know what I mean? Like, he came in and did his job. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm. It's got to be a Thibodeau thing that players buy into it, and because, like I said, it wasn't just last year. That's kind of been. Last year, it just happened at multiple positions, multiple times, in one season. But every year, it's been that. You know what I mean? Somebody goes down, somebody steps up and does a more than adequate job, and it surprised me year after year. Like, You know, Mitch go down. I'm like, oh man, are we gonna make the playoffs still? You know what I mean?
Right,
And,
right.
and if you know somebody steps up
And we don't miss a beat.
and we don't miss a beat.
Yeah, that is true. Johnny Davis, we do need to get off to a good start, and partly for content creators' sanity of having to deal with the chaos that will be in Knicks community if the Knicks do not get off to a good start. And over the first, I don't know, 20 games where I don't know, 8-12. Oh my goodness. All hell is gonna break loose. So yeah, we do need to get off to a good start for multiple reasons, but that's the main reason. I don't want to manage a show like that. Knicks at 8-12 after 20.
Well, hopefully we get a favorable schedule starting the season because it felt like the past couple of years they started us off with, it's like Boston, Philly, Boston,
Right, right.
Boston, Philly, Boston, Denver. It's like, come on, yo.
Ah,
So can we get some bottom feeders to start? You know what I mean? So
yeah. Get our feet wet, get our chemistry together. For
not
sure.
that if there's one team that probably don't need it, it's probably us. You know what I mean? So, but
But I think this is gonna be a different team though. With Mikal Bridges, um, Randle back, Mitch back, you know, that team that ended the season, they played together for a good chunk of the season. So with Mitch, Randall, and Mikal Bridges, it's kind of right.
yeah, no, 100%. Not, yeah, I
And
mean, even just taking away Hartenstein because like what he was able to do again, opening up that floor and not shooting wise, but being able to facilitate
Mhm,
from the paint or just outside the paint
right.
and make quick decisions. You know what I mean? It's one thing, and again, I love Mitch, always do, but it's something you mentioned it earlier with Sims as well. Like these guys, they get the ball and somebody has to come get it from them. You know what I mean?
Right.
If we notice that, the defense knows that too. These guys are not a threat with the ball. So those are the defense opportunity to kind of collapse. You know what I mean? Like you could itch off of Mitch
Mhm.
when he so I mean, granted, we've seen the two or three moves where he, kind of tricked the defense and made a move. He's gonna have to figure out how to do more of that.
Yeah. But I will say this. The the Knicks will still be successful because remember, Mitch Randall and RJ Barrett played together and we were successful. We were like top 10 offense, over 500 um, on the season. So it's not like the offense is going to halt to a stop. I just think it's not going to be as fluid as it was last season. And Randall and Brunson are going to have to get used to operating in less space again because they did do it a few seasons ago. But it doesn't mean that we won't be as successful. It'd probably be maybe more ugly wins, but I think we'll still be successful.
And I think I still don't think we've seen the best of what we will see chemistry wise between Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. I think early on, Brunson was dropping off some passes that I don't think. Now, granted, people do question Mitch's hands, and fair enough. It's fair criticism, but I think a lot of the times with Brunson, he just wasn't expecting it. He just wasn't used to a point guard penetrating and dishing. You know what I mean? So, I think that chemistry will get better. You know what I mean? And they'll figure out a little synergy between the two of them. It
I
took a
think
while even for Hartenstein and Brunson to kind of get that, but once they got it, oh my, it looked so natural.
Yeah. But I think the chemistry would have to be up top with Randall. I mean, excuse me, with Mitch. I don't see like the little pocket pass with Hartenstein for like a
Oh,
flip.
oh yeah, no. I'm talking about finish it, catch and finish. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jump off and dunk. Yeah. I'm in no extra offensive skills in
Right.
his. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know. We got Mark Bryant. Let's see. Though I do think these like center gurus, even Tibbs now is like, oh, centers get better. But I think it depends on the skill you have. He just makes it better. Because you think
mhm.
about Noel, he wasn't any different. He was just better at what he
What
does.
he
Or
does, yeah,
just good at
exactly,
what he does. And
yeah.
I think that's what Tibbs helps the centers do. Because I think if you ask me, I'm not in practice. He's very clear on what your role is and isn't, what the expectations are and are not. And just stick to that, do that to the
Or
best of your
I'll
ability.
I'll take it even further. I think he's clear of what your abilities are.
Mhm.
So now I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna utilize your strengths
Right.
because, um, again, Hartenstein is a clear credit to that.
Mhm.
It took a while. It took a year. You know what I mean? But once that floater, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
got spot on. You know what I mean? That became a part of the offense. So and that I'm not saying Tibbs did that,
Mhm.
but it's about the individual skill set. All right, you got that in your bag. All right, we're gonna figure out how to
Right.
implement it now. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're not throwing lobs to Hartenstein like you
Right.
would a Mickey Robinson. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Any last words on anything we talked about or anything else?
Um, I thought you had a couple other centers that were mentioned as potential targets. We talked. It was just Doran
Looney and
and
Robert
Looney.
Williams III.
Oh, Williams. Okay, yeah. Yeah. We all right. We covered them all.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because the others I think we covered in prior shows.
prior shows, yeah.
As far as Nick Richards and you know those.
Out of all the centers mentioned, what would be your pecking order?
I would have Kessler and Nick Richards neck and neck. Um, and Kessler might get the slight edge because of his age. He's 22. He's on a rookie contract, even though Nick Richards is only making 5 million. So I think Kessler would probably get a slight edge, but I like Nick Richards as well. What about you?
Sangoon.
Oh, hold on, hold on now. I didn't know he was in the
Uh,
individual. Hell yeah, where
Listen,
he would be number one.
when I heard that day, like I ignored it for like a couple of days because I'm like, no way. Like how? What would they give it up? Because I'm like, give it up. You know what I mean? Especially when if they wasn't talking about Randall, yeah, give up.
But
I
this
don't
is
care
the
what it.
thing. I see Sagoon and Randall as similar players. You know, facilitators, scorers, rebounders. Um, could both of them play? And you have to talking about contracts. I think he's up for an extension. But I do think if you get him on his rookie contract, you can extend both of them. They'll both be your players. You just have to pay the piper,
Hmm.
um, and you won't be able to do much else. But what else do you need?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think they would fit Sengun and Randall? I think
I,
if you got Sengun, you would need to move Randall for fit.
um, I mean, it. I wouldn't move. I wouldn't do it in the same trade. I want to see it. I want to see it, and then if it, you know what
That's
I
fair.
mean,
That's fair.
because I could see Randall removed. Let's say we had to give up Randall. I'm not saying I would do that trade, but I could
Yeah.
see that. I would like that better than Triple J because he is a center that you could give the ball to and say go to work in the post. Oh, you getting double teamed? He's gonna find the right guy. You know what I mean? Like he got the passing IQ of Hartenstein, a lot more arsenal offensively. You know what I mean? In the paint, I think he can stretch the floor a little bit as well. So it's like, yeah, I would give up the remaining assets for him.
Yeah, he's skilled. My only concern is he ready? Like, I feel like the Knicks is primed right now this year, and swapping out Randle for him. Ooh, I don't know if we would be as ready.
Oh no. I want to do it. Keeping Randle, see how
Oh,
that works,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Because yeah, I think that would, and then I'm not even worried about how young he is if he's ready because
Right.
he's so gifted. I think he figures it out. You know what I mean? Like even with like you're able to withstand the learning curve or the rookie, the you know what I mean, the young mistakes because he's just so gifted as a young guy. You know what I mean? So yeah. He was definitely. I was just like, yo, I don't care what that. We got 2 picks left. Yeah, do those. Deuce. I'm sorry, but deuces. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. But out of the rest of them, I probably would go Richards and then who'd you have over Richards?
Kessler.
Kessler.
Slight.
I would go Richards then Kessler. Just because Richards seems to have that energy, that dog. You know what I mean? Like, and Kessler. I don't know. He's like emotionless, and again, that might not mean nothing. You know what I mean? But I like a guy with a little bit more oomph, a little bit more energy out there, fire and desire, as Clyde would say. But
yeah. Well, Tone, pleasure, and hopefully
always.
this off-season staple. You got anything coming up?
I don't know. You got my juices going now, so I was gonna push my show to Wednesday. I might conjure up something and come on in an hour or so. So I they'll get the notification. Knicks and Bruises.
I think is that my audio? Yeah, it could just be me. Yeah, I know my condition where I'm at. I'll be home soon though, a few more weeks. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me and Tony? Oh, you on mute, Tone. Oh, it's you? Okay. All right. Well, until next time, I appreciate everybody. Space Coast, Nick P, Coach Melpica. Coach, I don't know if I got that right. Jarrell, A-Train, DJ, Shuttle, Eddie Ray sneaking in the house. Appreciate you. Rebuild NYK, Kerry Cox, Jarrell, miss you, my brother. Stopping by, showing love. Sherwin, appreciate you. I'm not going to get to everybody. The coolest, Johnny Davis. Until next time, family.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't talk.
Where you at?
Don't talk.
Where you at?
Don't talk.